I want you to listen carefully, not casually, because what I'm about to share with you is the root of every triumph and the silent cause behind every defeat. It is the law that governs the rise of men, the force behind every transformation, the invisible power that turns invisible thoughts into tangible reality. I call it the cosmic habit force. And once you understand it, once you learn how to use it, you will no longer chase success. You will install it into your very being. Success is not given. It is not inherited. It is not luck. It is not a product of chance. It is a result born of actions. And those actions are born of habits. And those habits, they are born of repetition, drilled into your subconscious mind until they become a part of you. Until they no longer require willpower. Until they no longer need effort. They become automatic. Reflexive. They become who you are. Most people live as victims of their habits. They don't know how they were formed. They don't realize they are the result of their own repeated thoughts, words, and actions. They suffer and then wonder why. They drift and then blame the wind. But you have a different opportunity. You can take control of the very mechanism that creates your future. Let me begin by telling you this truth. You were born with the power to command your mind. You were born with the ability to choose your thoughts, and through repetition, those thoughts harden into belief. Those beliefs take shape as behavior, and behavior done long enough becomes your destiny. This is not magic. It is law. It is the same law that governs the turning of the earth, the rising of the sun, the growth of a seed. The cosmic habit force is no respecter of persons. It does not reward the worthy or the lucky. It responds only to consistency, repeated thought, repeated action. That is the doorway to transformation. You cannot build success by emotion alone. Emotion fades. But a man with the right habits does not need to feel inspired to act. He acts because action has been installed. He no longer negotiates. He no longer waits. He no longer debates. He is programmed to win. Your job then is not to wish harder, not to pray for ease, not to look outward for rescue, but to begin now, today, crafting the habits that will pull you toward your purpose like a magnet. These habits, once established, will move you faster and further than any external force. They are the key. They are the engine. They are the hidden machinery behind every visible success you have ever seen. Ask yourself now, what do I do every day without thinking? What do I repeat so often that it has become second nature? Is it weakness or strength, delay or discipline, fear or faith? Because what you repeat, you become. And what you become shapes your life. The cosmic habit force does not discriminate between good and bad. It simply multiplies. If you repeat doubt, it strengthens doubt. If you repeat boldness, it strengthens boldness. If you repeat delay, it deepens your excuses. If you repeat action, it hardens your resolve. The law is neutral, but your results will never be. You cannot expect success if you rehearse defeat. You cannot expect courage if you constantly affirm fear. You cannot expect discipline if you wake each day to drift through chaos. Your subconscious mind is fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant with repetition and emotion, it will grow. The question is, what are you planting? Understand this. Your brain is not the driver. It is the servant. Your conscious mind gives orders. Your subconscious executes them. But only if you repeat those orders with intensity, emotion, and clarity. And once you do, once you cross the threshold of repetition, the cosmic habit force locks in and your mind begins to act in harmony with your intention. Do you know how a man becomes strong? He does the difficult thing repeatedly. He trains his body, trains his mind, speaks life into his purpose, takes control of his mornings, commands his focus, removes distractions, and does this until it is no longer effort, it is identity. That is installation. That is cosmic habit force in action. And that is the only way to make success automatic. You may say, but I've tried to change. I've tried to develop good habits, and I always go back. And I will answer, you did not persist long enough. You did not reach the point where the habit took over. You did not train the subconscious with enough emotional intensity and repetition to override the old program. Repetition is the code. Emotion is the key. Persistence is the door. And once you walk through that door, once you cross over from temporary motivation into permanent installation, everything changes. Not outside of you, inside of you. The man who has installed a habit of rising early, of planning his day, of acting without delay, of speaking truth, of confronting fear, he does not need to think about success. He lives it. He breathes it. He becomes it. That's why you must begin now to shape your day with purpose. Choose a handful of habits, simple, powerful, rooted in your goal, and repeat them daily until they become reflex. Do not negotiate. Do not wait for the right mood. Do not ask for permission. The subconscious does not understand delay. It understands now, and it understands repetition. And as you repeat, as you speak, as you act, you build new neural pathways, new emotional responses, new spiritual alignments. You are rewriting the code that governs your life. And the universe, through cosmic habit force, begins to support you, not because it favors you, but because you finally aligned with the law that governs change. Let me tell you something most men will never hear. The most powerful habits are not visible. They are not just action, they are internal. How you speak to yourself, how you interpret failure, how you think when you wake, how you respond to silence. These are the seeds of your future. And if you do not take command of them, someone else will. The world is loud, the distractions are endless, the temptation to settle is constant. But the man who guards his habits guards his future. He does not allow the world to shape him. He shapes himself, then shapes his world. I ask you now, what is your morning routine? What do you repeat every day? What do you say to yourself before you act? Because that is what's forming you. Not your wishes, not your dreams, not even your goals, but your repetitions. If you want to become powerful, then you must feed your mind with power daily. If you want to become clear, then you must affirm clarity daily. If you want to become disciplined, then you must reject ease daily. It is not done in one grand act. It is done in 1,000 quiet decisions repeated until they become your natural state. You will not feel like doing it every day. That is not the point. The point is to do it anyway, to install the behavior so deeply that even when your emotions fluctuate, your actions do not. That is the only true freedom. That is the only real power. You do not need more time. You do not need more information. You need to install new systems. Systems that align with your goal. Systems that reinforce your purpose. Systems that pull you forward when inspiration fades. Because it will fade. But your habits, if installed properly, will carry you. Success becomes inevitable when your systems are aligned. And those systems begin with thought, with a decision, with a statement like, from this day forward, I no longer leave my future to chance. I take command of my mind. I repeat only that which strengthens me. I think only that which aligns with my vision. I act only in harmony with my purpose. Repeat it, speak it, live it. Because once the cosmic habit force locks in, it takes more energy to stop than to continue. You become pulled by your discipline, not pushed by your fears. You become powered by your rituals, not weakened by your impulses. You become installed for success. There is a secret to all this, and I will give it to you now. Habits are not just actions, they are agreements. Every time you repeat a behavior, you are making an agreement with your future self. You are saying, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I expect. And if you expect average, average is what you will receive. But if you expect mastery, if you expect discipline, if you expect progress, then the cosmic habit force will shape you into the man who receives it. So I ask again, what are you agreeing to? Every skipped workout is an agreement with weakness. Every delayed task is an agreement with chaos. Every negative thought is an agreement with defeat. But every morning you rise with purpose, agreement with power. Every task done with excellence, agreement with greatness. Every affirmation spoken in faith, agreement with destiny. Choose your agreements wisely, repeat them relentlessly, and soon you will not have to remember who you are trying to become. You will become Him. Not by accident, not by luck, but by law, by repetition, by the power of the cosmic habit force, which takes what you do and makes it permanent, takes what you repeat and makes it automatic, takes who you practice being and makes it who you are. Now that you understand the cosmic habit force is already shaping you, it becomes your responsibility to become deliberate in what you are installing. No man escapes this law. You either rise through it or fall through it. You either use it or it uses you. The difference is intention. Most people believe their behavior is a matter of choice, but that is only partly true. Yes, you choose your thoughts, your words, your actions, but unless those choices are repeated deliberately and emotionally, they never penetrate the subconscious. And unless the subconscious accepts the command, the body does not obey automatically. That is the tragedy of most men. They want success, but they never install the programming necessary to receive it. Think of your subconscious mind as the soil of a vast and fertile field. It does not decide what grows. It does not question your intentions. It only grows what you plant. And what you plant is determined by your repeated thoughts and behaviors. If you plant seeds of fear, it will grow fear. If you plant seeds of boldness, it will grow boldness. If you plant procrastination, distraction, compromise, it will multiply those into a harvest of regret. But if you plant discipline, if you water it with action, if you fertilize it with repetition, if you expose it to the light of daily practice, then the harvest becomes strength, it becomes clarity, it becomes movement. That is what separates the few who succeed from the many who wander. The great illusion of life is that effort alone leads to results. But you must understand this. One effort does not create a habit. One day of discipline does not change identity. What creates change is what you do consistently. You must do the thing until the doing becomes effortless, until it no longer requires thought, until it becomes as natural as breathing. When that moment arrives, the cosmic habit force activates like a machine you no longer have to crank. It runs, it powers you, it sustains you. And in that moment, success is no longer something you chase, it is something you carry. You carry it in your rituals, in your routines, in your thoughts, in your very posture, because it has become part of your system. Now let's get very practical. What does this mean for you? It means you must begin the process of habit installation with strategy. Don't rely on vague inspiration. Get specific. Choose 3 to 5 behaviors that reflect the man you intend to become. Maybe it's rising early. Maybe it's 10 minutes of visualization. Maybe it's executing one hard task before 9 a.m. Maybe it's reviewing your definite purpose morning and night. The habits don't need to be loud, but they must be consistent. You must link those behaviors to identity. Don't say, I'm trying to wake up early. Say, I am the type of man who rises early because my mission cannot wait. Don't say, I'm trying to be more focused. Say, I am a focused man. Distraction is no longer my master. You see, when you shift your language, you shift your identity, and when you shift identity, your habits align automatically. Because no man acts consistently in a way that contradicts who he believes he is. The man who believes he is disciplined will act disciplined, The man who believes he is clear will behave with clarity. The man who believes he is purpose-driven will take purposeful action even when it is hard. But how do you begin believing something that doesn't feel true yet? You install it. Through repetition, repeat the language, repeat the behavior, repeat the emotion daily, especially when it feels awkward, especially when the old identity pushes back, because the voice that wins is the voice that speaks most often. And if you do not speak your new identity into existence, your old one will drag you backward. Do not wait to feel like the man you want to become. Act like him. And the cosmic habit force will begin the wiring. It will match your repeated behavior with inner conviction. It will take what you do and turn it into who you are. Now let's speak about resistance, because it will come. Every time you attempt to install a higher standard, lower impulses will rebel. That's not a sign of failure. That is a sign of transformation. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires the death of what no longer serves you. Your old patterns will not leave quietly. They will fight, they will whisper, they will tempt you with ease, with familiarity, with pleasure. But you must respond with strength, with repetition, with practice. And the more you practice the new way, the weaker the old voice becomes. You are not a slave to that voice unless you listen to it. You are not bound to your past unless you keep repeating it. And repetition is the only way out. Not just any repetition, but intentional, emotional, daily repetition in the direction of your vision. You say you want to succeed, then condition yourself to do what success requires before it feels natural. You must train your brain, your spirit, your nervous system to move in harmony with your highest self, even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. The world belongs not to the man who acts when he feels like it, but to the man who acts because it is installed. That man no longer needs reminders. He no longer waits for a better mood. He no longer debates his disciplines. He simply executes, because that is who he has become. Now here's a warning. Most men never cross the threshold where discipline becomes automatic. They start, they stop, they dabble, they wait for proof before they persist. But that's not how the law works. The law rewards those who persist beyond resistance, beyond doubt, beyond temporary failure. The reward is not handed out for effort. It is handed out for persistence. And what is the measure of persistence? Habit. Not intensity, not occasional inspiration, but steady, daily, aligned action. That is what shapes you. That is what rewires your inner world. That is what unlocks the support of the cosmic habit force. You will know it is working when you begin to act without struggle, when the same task that once drained you now energizes you, when your system begins to seek out discipline because it feels more natural than chaos. That's when you know the habit has taken root. That's when you know your identity has shifted. Until then, your job is to show up anyway, to affirm the new standard, to execute the new behavior, to install the new code, one thought at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. Because repetition is more powerful than will. Repetition, soaked in belief, builds new identity. And identity is the foundation of behavior. You become the man you habitually act like. That is the process. So what does your day look like? Is it designed to support your purpose? Or is it filled with reactions, with distractions, with habits that belong to the man you no longer wish to be? Every action, every choice, every routine is a vote for the identity you are installing. You are either casting votes for success or for struggle. There is no neutral. Even your inaction is a vote. This is why I speak so strongly about daily structure. You must protect the early hours. You must protect your inputs. You must guard your energy. You must rehearse your vision, not once in a while, but every single day. Because repetition through time becomes permanent. And permanency is power. Let us now speak about the internal cues. Every habit begins with a trigger, a cue, a signal. And your job is to become aware of these. What triggers you to act in alignment? What triggers you to regress? You must become a student of yourself. You must observe your mind like a scientist with precision. Because once you understand your cues, you can control the response. You can insert a new routine. You can rewire your system. You can install a better pattern. But you must be vigilant. You must be patient. You must be relentless. Because transformation is not an event, it is an installation. And the installation process is mechanical. Repeat the cue. Repeat the action. Reinforce the reward. Anchor the identity and repeat. Day after day. Week after week. Month after month, until the cosmic habit force takes over and the doing becomes your nature. And what does your nature become? A reflection of power, a vessel of purpose, a man whose success is installed, not hoped for. This is not theory. This is law. The same law that governs the tides, the seasons, the planets, governs your behavior. Align with it, and you become unstoppable. Ignore it, and you suffer. But you do have a choice. That choice begins now. Choose the rituals that match your vision. Choose the language that reinforces your purpose. Choose the standards that shape your character. And repeat them until you don't need to choose anymore. Because that is when the law becomes your ally. That is when the cosmic habit force becomes your silent partner. That is when success moves from a distant goal to a natural expression of who you are. And when that moment comes, you will know, because your habits will not just support your destiny, they will become your destiny. Now let me speak directly to the part of you that has struggled, the part that has doubted, hesitated, waited. That version of you, though it feels real, is not permanent. It is a result of years of untrained thought, of unconscious repetition, of letting the world define your direction. But that is not who you truly are. That is who you've practiced being. The real you, the disciplined, courageous, focused, relentless version of you has been waiting beneath the noise, waiting for new patterns, waiting for a command, waiting for you to stop drifting and start directing. And now, through the law of the cosmic habit force, you finally hold the power to make that shift permanent. Do not underestimate the power of installation. Do not mistake repetition for weakness. It is the very foundation of greatness. What you repeat, you become. And once you install the right habits, the right thoughts, the right actions, they no longer require effort. They begin to drive you. That's when you know success has been installed into your system, not by luck, not by accident, but by law. Ask yourself now, what would happen if I refused to skip my morning ritual for 1 full year? What would happen if I practiced self-discipline so consistently that it no longer felt like discipline, it just felt like me? What would happen if I trained my mind to respond to adversity with power, with clarity, with calm instead of fear? I'll tell you what would happen. You would become a different man. Not because the world changed, but because you changed your rhythm. You rewired the pattern. You trained the system. You aligned with the force that governs all lasting transformation. Cosmic habit force does not reward dabblers. It does not respond to occasional effort. It responds to devotion. And devotion is proven not by how loud you speak, but by how consistent you are when no one is watching. And so I ask you, are you consistent? Do your actions echo your vision? Do your habits honor your purpose? Because if they do not, then your purpose will always remain a theory. And a theory without structure is just a dream that dies slowly. But if your habits match your purpose, then your purpose becomes real. It becomes embodied. It becomes the guiding engine of your entire life. Not just in moments of inspiration, but in every breath you take. That is the promise of the law. That is the power of installation. Let me remind you, change is not hard. Starting is hard. Continuing is hard. But once the pattern is installed, once the repetitions cross the threshold of effort, once the habit becomes second nature, it is no longer hard, it is automatic. And when you reach that level of mastery, people will call you gifted. They will call you lucky. But you will know the truth. You installed it. You trained it. You earned it. Not through one massive effort, but through 1,000 invisible repetitions that no one applauded. And that, my friend, is the only real power. Now listen to me well. Your mind is listening. Every time you think, speak, or act, your subconscious is taking notes. It is recording your patterns. It is reinforcing your identity. If you say, I can't focus, your mind believes you and installs that belief. If you say, I'm just not consistent, your actions begin to reflect that. But if you say, I'm becoming a man of structure, of clarity, of discipline, and you repeat it even before it feels true, then the subconscious begins to shape your reality around that statement. Your mind doesn't know the difference between fact and repetition. It only knows what it hears most. That is why autosuggestion is not optional, it is essential. Speak only what you want to live. Speak it with force. Speak it with fire. Speak it with certainty, and speak it every single day. If you do that, if you affirm your identity, reinforce your behaviors, and repeat your rituals, then the cosmic habit force will begin to respond in kind. You will begin to attract the resources, the ideas, the clarity, and the opportunities that align with your new installation. Because here's the truth. Once your inner world is calibrated, the outer world cannot resist you. The world is always a mirror, reflecting back what you have rehearsed internally. When you walk in discipline, opportunity makes way. When you move with conviction, doors open. Not because the world changed, but because your frequency did. Do not wait for the world to change. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for proof. Change your pattern. Change your repetitions. Change your rituals. Because those are the only levers of lasting transformation. Let us go deeper still. There is a difference between action and automated action. The man who acts once in a while, when it's convenient, when he feels good, when everything aligns, that man lives by chance. But the man who installs his actions into habit, who trains them into his subconscious, who repeats them until they become his second skin, that man lives by law. And law does not fail. That man cannot be stopped, not because he is stronger, but because he is installed. When you are installed, your mind no longer looks for the easy way out. It no longer negotiates with discipline. It no longer considers laziness an option. Your very instincts begin to serve your purpose. That is mastery. That is freedom. That is when you know success is in your DNA, not because of your past, not because of your background, but because of what you've repeated with precision, passion, and persistence. This is why environment matters. Your environment either supports or sabotages your installation. It either feeds your rituals or breaks them. It either elevates your identity or keeps you small. You must choose wisely what surrounds you, because repetition is influenced by exposure. What you hear, read, see, and feel, all of it shapes your habits, and your habits shape you. Cut off what weakens you. Flood your world with what strengthens you. Make your environment an extension of your destiny. Let every room, every conversation, every morning, every moment remind you of who you are becoming. Because if you do not train your environment, it will train you. Let me say this again. You do not need more inspiration. You need better installation. And installation is built on systems. Systems that repeat. Systems that reinforce. Systems that evolve you. It is not glamorous. It is not flashy. but it is unstoppable. This is why greatness often looks quiet. Why the most powerful men do not boast, they build quietly, daily, without skipping, without stalling, without seeking attention, because once success is installed, it no longer needs validation. It simply is. And so I ask you now to reflect. What systems do you have in place? What rituals guide your day? What phrases guide your thinking? What habits guide your identity? Are they random? Are they reactive? Or are they aligned? Because when every part of your life points toward the same aim, your thoughts, your routines, your inputs, your language, your actions, you become an unstoppable force. The law of habit takes over. The momentum builds. The resistance fades. And forward becomes your default direction. That is what I want for you. Not motivation, momentum. Not occasional success, installed identity. Not short bursts of effort, enduring excellence through automated repetition. Because that, my friend, is the highest form of power, not the man who occasionally rises, but the man who cannot fall below a certain standard because he has become the standard. And now, I leave you with a final decision. You can walk away from these words and let the world continue to shape your repetitions, or you can become the architect of your installation. You can choose your habits. You can condition your rituals. You can train your identity. You can live on purpose, with purpose, and by law. Because the law is always watching. The cosmic habit force is always responding. It does not judge. It does not wait. It simply multiplies whatever you feed it, through time, through emotion, through repetition. So choose wisely, repeat deliberately, install fearlessly, and soon you will no longer chase your destiny. You will walk in it, because success, my friend, will no longer be a goal. It will no longer be an idea. It will be who you are. And that is the power of installing success into your DNA. And so it is.